On today's episode, we sit down with the president of Bathorium, Greg McDonald. He tells us this unbelievable story how he came up with the idea of Bathorium and how he decided to make a completely clean beauty line all around bath time. Now, he tells us a pretty crazy story how he's in a completely different industry and how he has a business background, and now he's helping to formulate unbelievable bath salts as well as bath bombs and so many more. So literally, let's relax into this episode because you're going to want to have a bath after this one.
So I always had that, I wanted to create and I wanted to monetize. What really that shifted into throughout my teenage years is I wanted to create, but I actually wanted to over delight, and I wanted to create this sense of I wanted to give people more than what they thought they were just purchasing. And so way before Bathorium, I've had a catering business in grade 8. I was catering across Ottawa, doing egg salad sandwiches and all these things that didn't go very well. But kind of through high school, I started a t-shirt company. I did a cheesecake company through university. And then finally, I actually had a bread bakery called Wellington Breads. And that was my first taste of a successful business. And really the common thread when I've looked back through my businesses is that over delighting customers. So I used to make breads that it wasn't just like a rosemary boule. It would be like a rosemary and I'd caramelize onions and mix it in. And then the unboxing was beautiful. Everything was delivered before 8 a.m. So it was still warm from the oven, and just these different things that we used to do that just really people thought they're buying an olive loaf, and it came to be so much more. And that's really what was a lot of the founding basis of formulation behind Bathorium. It's these aren't bath salts. These aren't just bath bombs. These are experiences. It's more than what you think you're getting. So yeah, I think it just comes from this always wanting to exceed people's expectations in all aspects.
Yeah. And I think too, just when you see it, especially with social media now, as entrepreneurs, we can see the actual unboxing and people getting exciting and wanting to share it with their followers and family members. And even I think it's so neat how you went from food, like you said, getting a taste of the industry in a way, and then now getting into something completely different.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of similarities between food and beauty just because it's raw ingredients. You put them together, they turn into something totally different. And I also used to work for Walt Disney World, and Disney's training and kind of their whole mantra is making magic for customers. So that really also propelled me going through to hospitality and then to food and now to beauty and wellness. It really was an organic growth pattern, but there's a lot of very similar compound or concepts that are inherent in me and my business.
Yeah. So where did you go to school then for formulating and the food? Where did that all start from?
Yeah, my schooling's actually in business. So I went to Ryerson and George Brown. So I did Bachelor of Business with Hospitality Operations Management. So totally unrelated to what I do now. And I don't have formal training in formulation. So at the very beginning of Bathorium, I relied heavily on people who knew a lot more about the industry than me. So we worked with contractor formulations, Ayurvedic societies, different other founders that had been doing this for 20 plus years to really pick their brains with how to proceed. And so it was really a self-taught journey, and a lot of starting this business in 2014, you really have the benefits of YouTube and blogging and networking and these mentorship sessions to really self-teach yourself into whatever area you want to focus on. So my schooling doesn't play much, as most people, doesn't play much into what I do now, but there's some core concepts that have maintained, but you learn more in business in your first couple of years of starting a business than you do in 4 years of an undergrad. I can say wholeheartedly.
Well, I was going to say, with speaking to a lot of entrepreneurs, it's hilarious because some of them that are in these industries, I look at one of my good friends, she owns a wax company and she has her MBA and she has never waxed somebody. but she knows
Yeah.
the numbers and she knows how the business works. So it's kind of interesting. But then she took courses to kind of learn and gain more insight on the industry and why they do what they do. And then there's me, who I'm a licensed esthetician. I went to school for beauty, but now I'm kind of changing into the numbers and more of the business. So it's so funny how everything that we do kind of leads us into the direction that
Exactly.
we're going into.
Exactly. It's so rare. There's so few professions where it's like, I went to school to become this, and now I do this, and I will retire doing that, which I studied in school.
Yes.
It's a rare progression, and I think I like it better our way. I mean, it's just more exciting. You just never know where life's going to take you.
I don't know if it's we have shorter attention spans or what it is, but I look at
Yeah, that's probably it.
I look at my mom and dad, and they've been in the same career since they were 19.
Yeah, mine
And
too.
and it hasn't changed much either. It's pretty much the same as when they had started to what it is now. So it's yeah, and also within the industries, right? I look at even your line alone and how much you have revolved it and changed into, it's still that bath company, but it's the whole experience. And chat a little bit more about like the name of it, where that came from, and kind of like the more details of when you had started to create it.
Sure. So I actually founded Bathorium when I was working at a hotel bar in Toronto called the Shangri-La Hotel. So I was a bartender there, and I had just folded Wellington breads because I was in my fourth year university. I couldn't make fresh baked bread anymore, so I was in university and I wanted to take the summer off to go travel Europe. And so I took a leave from the hotel, went across to Europe, started in Ireland, and then worked my way through to Italy. And when I was in Italy, checked into this like VRBO house rental situation. And so I checked in and I was kind of exploring the accommodations. And the owner, who's this little Nona, she had this gorgeous master bathroom with a gorgeous clawfoot tub, like under a window, overlooking parts of Positano. And next to it was this shelf that had all these different like oils and butters and salts. And prior Bathorium, like I was a huge bath aficionado. I'd take baths at that point, like every 2 days, using like all these. I didn't care what I used, oil of olive beads or Lush or whatever. And so I was really interested in essential oils and salt and whatnot. So I was exploring all these different compounds and different things that she had on her shelf. And she came in and she was like, "Can I draw you a bath?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love that. I've been in hostel showers for the past few weeks." So she starts making me this tub, and she's adding in like different essential oils and clay and salt. And she had like a big block of cocoa butter, and she was like shaving it under the hot running water. And I got into this bath, and it was the most incredible bath I'd ever had. And I always say that's my Oprah aha moment, where I was like, this is what I've meant to do. I need to bring this experience home, because I had never experienced something like that. And I knew like that was a business in itself, because this experience was wild. I think I was in the tub for 2 hours, like stone cold at the end, but I had the most euphoric experience. And that really led me to, so when I came home back to Toronto and went back on the bar that day, everyone says, "How was your trip?" And I was like, "You know what? Europe is beautiful, great food, whatever. But this bath I had was so incredible." I kept talking about how amazing this tub experience was. And that's what led me to start learning about formulation and what is green beauty and what made that bath so special, and what does the alkalinity of the water do to the skin, and really going down that journey. The first company I started, like Bathorium's humble beginnings, was actually called the Bath Bomb.
Okay.
Not very creative, but it was called the Bath Bomb, and our website was ilovemybomb.com. So branding needed some work, but I was just, because I loved using bath bombs. I loved that experience in Italy. So I wanted to combine the two and create like large decadent bath bombs. And that's really how Bathorium started. It didn't last long. You couldn't get a search ranking to save your life being the bath bomb. And it wasn't expandable. It also didn't, like, the experience of the bath that everyone had been talking about, like all my friends and family that I'd been trying to sell this product into. It didn't match the name. It didn't match the kitschiness of like, blow up your bath and detonate the tub tonight. Like, it was a very harsh branding mixed with a very high-end product, or not even high-end at that point, but it was just like a very clean, natural product. So I folded the company for 3 months to really like architect what I wanted my vision of this bath company to look like. And Bathorium was born, and it's the emporium of bath products, because I wanted something that was expandable, something that I could go on to create multiple bath products, multiple lines, and not just be confined by bath bombs. And yeah, that was the beginning. And yeah, that was seven years ago.
Wow.
It's
Does it
wild.
seem like it's been that long?
Sometimes, like some days I'm like, it's been 20 years, but some days I was like, that was yesterday. I had a bowl and I'd make these bombs like 5 at a time, and I'd like say a little prayer each night that they all harden properly, and then I'd wrap them. And then my first sale that I ever had, where it wasn't someone I knew, like it wasn't a friend or a family or a friend's aunt, like it was a total stranger who found us. I went like full out stalker mode, like found them on Facebook, like was like murder mapping, like they must have known them who found me through him. And yeah, it was a really, and I was like, that feels like it was yesterday. But yeah, it was 7 years ago. So
That's
it's wild.
amazing. And I think I love your point too, where you were okay to step back for 3 months and be like, how are we going to develop this and change it? Like with my beauty lines, we formulate, but we have contracts that do all of our formulations. But with our line, we call ourselves Muskoka Beauty as our product line. But we sell specifically lash extension products, but we want to expand to other products. And my boyfriend was the one that was like, why don't we put beauty on the end? So then we're not just limited to like Muskoka lashes or something. That way we can
Exactly.
expand that. So
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because like the Muskoka lashes would give you better SEO, like it might propel you quicker to have a very niche focus and more market trust. Or people might think, okay, they're doing one thing, they probably do it, they likely do it very well. But Muskoka Beauty does set you out to be more expandable and everything. So yeah, it's like that's something like Bathorium. No one knew what Bathorium was or is or what that means. Like they assume it's a bath product, but people might think we're like a tub installation company. Like you really don't know. But the advantage of it was like, okay, well, people aren't going to know us, but it's like if you used to search Bathorium before it was incepted, like nothing came up. It was all like autocorrect bathroom. So we knew we had a really great space to like create. It was like a blank canvas that we got to play on. So that's what won.
now with your co-founder, how did you meet up together to pursue the company that way?
Yeah, he was actually the bartender who's on shift with me that day.
Way.
So Matt Chu and I were scheduled that day, and he was the one that was like, "How was your trip?" And I was like, "Blah blah blah blah. This bath was incredible." And then I was like, "I don't know if I want to do this alone, because I'm broke. I've got nothing after a year up in 6 weeks. I've got 10 cents to my name and a credit card." And like this is kind of scary. Like I've done business before with like my bakery and the t-shirt companies and like whatever. Like it definitely is a difficult journey alone. And yeah, so with him, he had no experience in beauty, wellness, or business. And yeah, so now he's our fulfillment manager. So he takes care of all of outbound shipping and fulfillment with across all of our channels.
That's amazing. So how many SKUs do you have today now with your product?
Oh goodness. So we have so we're two main brands. So Bathorium Inc. We created a sub brand called the Bathologist. So the Bathologist is a different line of bath soaks that's sold through just different channels like Winners and Amazon, and just a bit more of like a grand scale economy line. So between the Bathologist and Bathorium, I think we're at like 50 something SKUs.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, it fluctuates though, because we're always releasing limited edition and holiday releases and gift sets. And we also have a private label division. So we have a full division of the company that does that private labels for other green beauty companies. So that's probably another 12 or 15 SKUs.
That's amazing.
Oh gosh, no, more than like probably 20 SKUs.
And it's all in-house, like it's all under the same roof.
Yeah, we made the decision. We fluctuated. I went from making them in bowls with like measuring cups, and then we found a smaller facility in Toronto that was like a little more ahead than we were at the time, and they had more staff and they had more space, and so they were producing our product. But 4 years ago, we were featured. We had the opportunity to go on Good Morning America, so we needed to scale our product, our whole business up rapidly within 6-8 weeks. So we made the decision and made the investment to actually build a production facility. And that facility started off just making one of our product lines. We only made Crush. And then now today it makes 90% of our lines. The only thing we outsource is our elixir. So all of our bubble bath comes from a different facility it's used to using water-based formulas. So that comes from there. And then we have we have a lot of co-packers. We have a lot of support for like a lot of our larger orders. We have some backup facilities that help produce and contract out our product. But yeah, we own the production, which is definitely like, it's a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because you have complete control of your quality and your costing, and I get to be in there and play and just do, test batches myself. But it's also, it's difficult because you're managing, we have a team of 25 in the production facility. You got a lot more overhead, a lot more capital you need to put out to front load all these sales and orders. So yeah, it's quite an operation.
Well, it's that like, and I've seen your products everywhere. Like there's a couple of shops in Bracebridge in Muskoka here that carry
awesome.
your products. And I actually got some for Christmas too. So like they're all like, I'm sure it's too much now, obviously, of you trying to figure out who's going where and all the wholesalers and things like that. So where did you kind of realize the steps that made you scale to that next level that really like got you into more stores, the Good Morning America? Like how did that all kind of come about in the journey?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it a lot of my strategy at the beginning was get Bathorium into as many hands as possible, cost not important. So for the first 4 years, we were gifting every event, swag bag, influencer, micro influencer, anyone who had more than 1,000 followers. We were like, hey, do you want to try some bath products? Like, we'll change your opinion. These people who had like 1,000 followers were like, yeah, I'll take some free bath stuff. And it was that kind of momentum that over the course of how many years, it really snowballed and people started talking about the brand. And anytime someone was like, oh, I could use bath, people be like, oh, you should try. I had this amazing, and then that kind of chatter really is what grew Bathorium. And that festered a community on Instagram, on social, through our networking, that really just kind of grew organically. We do a lot of wholesale advocacy. So we do a lot of founder trainings. We empower a lot of our sales staff at these stores to sell the product and talk more about the founding story and why we're different, and why a bath bomb from a competitor that contains like phthalates or artificial fragrances or colors or full of starches, like why that isn't a beneficial bath, like why that it's not a clean bath. So that kind of education too is also like, as those staff leave and move on to other stores or buying departments, our name keeps coming up. So our strategy really is just kind of word of mouth, and people trying the product. Like when you try Bathorium, that it's not bath salts.
Yes.
Is like kind of the biggest thing that we've hit home is like you put there's beautiful green indie brands that do bath salts, and that's beautiful and that's wonderful. But more often than not, it's a beautiful glass jar that you're paying for. It's a salt that has an essential oil in it. You put it in, you wait for the salt to dissolve, and then you get into the tub and you do your ritual. Bathorium, it has the clays and it has the oils. So, we blend all that oil with bicarb. So you don't need to add a bath oil in it. You already have like the top half inch of your water is an oil that's coating your body. It's full of magnesium and it's full of different botanicals and carrier oils. So you get this full encompassing experience. This is why you feel so great after a bath.
Well, and it sells itself. I think your products are one of the ones where as soon as you try it, you're like, okay, I'm not going to try anything else after this. Like you're just immediately satisfied with it. And people talk, right? That's the best way of advertising. And
exactly.
Good news. Like I don't know how many people I've told myself after using your bath bombs and bath salts. And I think it's, as an esthetician too, I find I do read labels, and I feel like a lot of other people don't. So it's educating people, like you were saying, on why your brand is so different than others, and advertising the people that are representing your businesses at these wholesales and retail stores.
Exactly. And like, I'm sure you're the same. Like when I love a product, everyone around me knows that I love the product. Like Tata Harper. I keep it right next to me always. And anyone that gives me the time of day, I'm like, you have to try this product. And I'll spray them at like a grocery store. Cause it's like, it's phenomenal product. So I will, so that's the same thing as like when people try Bathorium, if you love Bathorium, you love baths, you're going to tell people about that. And like, I mean, I get that from my mom too. Like she's just a Gabby Susan, and she does the same thing. She loves a product. She'll call me. She'll say, Greg, I just had a new oatmeal from this, like you need to go get it. I'm like, all right, I'll go order it. Like humans are so influenced by our networks and by the people that we trust and respect and love. Like if they like something, you're like, I want to try it. I probably will like that. And then that's how that grows. So, we've done a little bit of influencer marketing now, but I just find it so unorganic when it's like use code whatever for 10% off, and it's just very staged and hashtag ad and sponsored. It's like a lot of companies are very successful, and I mean, I'm not saying we haven't done that. We actually have, but end of the day, it's like we're really pulling away from it, because it's like if that's not where our customers are finding our product. Our customers are finding product from people who they're using our Little Charlie Kids line, and their kids aren't having eczema flare-ups. Like those moms and those parents out there are like telling everyone. People who are like, I haven't used bubble bath in 10 years because of SLS. They're using ours. Like I could finally have bubbles again, and they tell everyone. Mm-hmm. So it's that kind of momentum that's really put Bathorium on the map.
Now tell our listeners about where the name Charlie came from for your baby line.
For sure. Yeah. Little Charlie's like the line that I'm probably the most proud of. I launched it 2 years ago. It's a kid's oatmeal and coconut milk bath soak. My goddaughter and niece, Kaylee, when she was still in my sister-in-law's stomach, we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. So my grandpa, Gramps, he would always say, oh, little Charlie's in there, and little Charlie's kicking, and how's little Charlie doing? And I love that name, and I love the concept of that, where it's gender neutral, it's playful, it's safe, it's fun. And then when I built the kids line for Kaylee, who had just really bad diaper rash and eczema and cracking at her creases, I wanted to call it Little Charlie as a nod to my grandpa, but also as this like, it's everything bath time should be: safe and playful, and free of a lot of those toxins and other fun things that you find shoved into kids' products these days. In green beauty, I think a lot of green beauty, indie beauty, clean beauty, however you want to categorize it, it focuses on the consumer that's older, that is very conscious of what they're putting on their skin. They like high end. And I think those consumers are becoming parents now, and over the past decade. And it's like, we need to look at what that looks like. Like they're obviously going to put only clean ingredients on them. Well, that likely means they're only going to put clean ingredients on their kids as well. So that's also where Little Charlie's really broken doors down. It's like, like birth doulas and hospitals are using Little Charlie as the first bath. Whereas before, Johnson & Johnson had contractual obligations to hotels that they had to use Johnson & Johnson when the babies were born. And that showed the parents, wow, the hospital's using it, it must be safe. But they didn't know it's full of fragrance, and it's full of, just other silicones and other things that make the baby's skin feel so soft, but it's actually extremely damaging for their skin. So that's, yeah.
I found in aesthetic school, that was a huge shock to me, learning about baby oil and really like what it is, and the ingredients and how they make it was like mind blowing to me. And I like promised myself after learning about it, I'm like, I'm never touching that ever again.
Yeah, it's mineral oil. It sits on the top of your skin and it suffocates your epidermis. Like it suffocates it, but it makes it feel velvety smooth. I used to live, when I was living in Florida for Walt Disney World, I would cover myself in baby oil and put lemon juice in my hair to like get that great tan and bleach when I had more hair. And now looking back, I was like, oh my God, that is horrendous to think about.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we all have that dirty past.
Yeah, because I think the generation before us was the iodine and all of that. Like it's the same thing, and now there's like so much more education about it. And even too, talking about like the story, and you guys have given back a lot too with your company to foundations as well, and the Main Street program. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that as well?
Of course, yeah. So my younger brothers, Aaron and Taylor, they're mentally disabled, and it's been a life with them and learning. Like they're the most two incredible boys you'll ever meet in your life. And I have an older brother as well. So my mom had four boys, and she had a lot on her plate. And Aaron and Taylor finally moved to a Main Street cared respite home back about 10 years, or less than 10 years ago. And they take full-time care of Aaron Taylor now. So they have beautiful homes with different caretakers and speech therapists and after school programs and behavioral specialists and people that give Aaron Taylor the full rounded support they need to live a successful life, semi-independently. So still living in homes with care, but giving them jobs and doing different programs to give them fulfillment. And it's great because it's allowed my parents to really move on with their life and get to retirement and all that fun ness, while still having Aaron Taylor come home on the weekends, and we have them over for dinner all the time. But they have their independence, we have our independence. So Main Street's a phenomenal non-for-profit organization that saved my family and thousands of other families in the Ottawa-Gatineau region. And so it's definitely important for me to give back. And to date now, I think we've given over $100,000 worth of gift in kind and cash donations to this organization for different programs and resources and appliances. And I can't stress enough how crucial this organization is. And I think Canada needs more of them. There's such a high demand and high need for families living with kids with disabilities that, the waiting list to get into a Main Street home is very long. So I think we need more funding. My dream one day is to have actual Bathorium homes where we pay for everything from the home to the mortgage, utilities, everything. And then, Main Street can go and actually maintain it with their staff and their incredible infrastructure to these houses. So that's my long-term goal, but we're a few bath bombs away.
But I think that's amazing.
That's my long-term goal.
When people purchase it, there's that story behind it, and they're not just buying a product, they're buying a future for somebody.
Exactly. I think every product should do good. Like I try to only support organizations that have that give back model, because it's so crucial. Like every dollar you earn, you need to be giving dollars away. Like it's how the world works, and I believe that everything comes back to you fivefold. So it's how I've operated my business for 7 years. Like right from the beginning, we were making our sales in the beginning were like a couple $100 a month, and I'd be like, okay, well, we're gonna give Main Street like $60 in Loblaws gift cards, and it's like we could barely keep the lights on at our little studio. So I just believed in giving back, and more we grow, I think the more we should give back, and I want to inspire other small businesses. Like it doesn't matter how small you are. I think I believe it's crucial.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it empowers you as an entrepreneur that you're doing more than just giving a product. You're giving that experience, but you're also giving that future for people and the reason that you're doing what you're doing and waking up every day. Like as any person, not even as an entrepreneur, we all have our days, but then when you wake up in the morning and say, I'm doing this for this reason, I think it really empowers you on that next level.
Exactly. That also feels like, as entrepreneurs, we all have those days where things aren't going well. And I have lots of those. And those are the days, especially at the beginning, like the first few years where it's like, I'm just going to give up, and, they didn't like my product, or this store isn't carrying us, or I'll never be as good as those brands. It's like that mission statement of, yes, I want to create the best bath products in the world and be synonymous with bathing, but I also want to help families just like mine. So it's that fire behind my mission, which also keeps me going on those darker days.
Amazing. I love that. And what is something, talking about like the stories in your early days, is there any particular story that really stands out to you? And when you were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to throw my hands up in the air and surrender, basically?
Oh gosh, there's tons. Like, oh my gosh, there's literally tons. But we could do a whole podcast just on business failures. Yeah, I think like doing a lot of product testing, and back early on, before we had these like protocols and SOPs of like before a product goes to launch, we were kind of like, we would test and we would create, and then we push it out without really doing a lot more testing, or we kind of push it to like our beta groups. And there was some incidents there where it was just like the menthol was too high and it was like tingling on the nail beds. And or we used an Australian red rosule clay, which is a beautiful compound. It's so high minerality, but we used to use like, oh my gosh, I think it was like 10 or 15% batch total. Now we use it in our eucalyptus apothecary line at 0.025%. But anyway, at 10% or 15%, whatever it was, after the bath drained, it looked like someone was brutally murdered in the bath. It was like red streaking clay all down the bath. Oh gosh, that was fun to see. Or when Crush was pushed out, we didn't know we had to aerate the bags. So Crush launched in 2015. We got the bags in from our supplier. We pushed the first rounds through. We're like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. What we didn't account for was Toronto humidity that got captured in the bag when the blending happened. So then the humidity reacted the sodium bicarbonate and the citric acid, causing an explosion. So retailers were calling us being like, and we only had like 5 at that point, but they were like, I think something's wrong with your product. And you'd hear like gunshots going pop, 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 and it's the bags like exploding. Oh, that led to like days where I'm like, I wasn't meant to do this. Yeah, there's a thousand of those stories, but luckily to say we've got it. Like, but those stories now create like rigorous testing and rigorous pre-launch procedures and all that. So without that, I mean, maybe we would have those now on a much larger scale. So it's probably good that we had those in the early days.
Oh, definitely. I remember one of the girls that works for me, she was telling me this story. We were talking about bath bombs and she was like, oh, I'm so scared of bath bombs now. I'm like, why is that? She's like, I was a Smurf. One of them died, like literally dyed her blue and she couldn't get it off.
Oh my God.
So now she only uses
That's brutal.
beauty, like she's very nervous of using them. But it was so funny because I've never heard someone say they're scared of bath bombs, but it was like she got it as and it was just someone had given it to her and she's like, oh, I'll try it, whatever, have a relaxing bath. And she could not get the dye off of her.
Yep. Oh my gosh. I've had that too with, and I used to think that was just the norm when I used, I don't know if I can say it, but like Lush's bath bombs, like, because they are full of like colorants and sparkles and pop rocks and unicorn poop and whatever else. So I used it once. I went after the bath into bed and my like white flannel sheets were like covered in sparkles and blue and green rainbows. And but I always thought like, oh yeah, I took a bath. Like I literally just accepted that as that's normal. And it wasn't until I started Bathorium, went on this journey where I was like, that's not normal. And there's also amazing alternatives to using these toxic colorants.
Yeah, definitely. And whatever we're putting on our skin is getting absorbed into our bloodstream too. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, like whether it's a facial cream, a bath, some type of oil, anything, well, unless it's like mineral oil, like we were talking about, but it's amazing the different things that can be absorbed into our body. And it only takes like 20 seconds for that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like when you're soaking in a bath for 30 minutes, like everything that's in that bath is soaking into your skin. And then soaking into your bloodstream, and like it's just that's it's horrific that these companies can get away with putting so many questionable items in their products that they technically aren't harmful if you look at on a legal basis, but it's it's how clean do you want to be? Like, do you want to use all natural ingredients that are found in nature, or do you like to use high synthetic for whatever purpose, to have that Instagrammable bath where there's like yellow and pink and blue? Like that's not always achievable in nature. Like we use a lot of really cool compounds. We use like turmerics and beetroot powders and hibiscus flower powders and honeys and matcha tea. Like we use really cool spirulina, like we use really cool colorants, but they're all natural. And I think it really creates a much more beneficial bath. And it's just a different experience. I recommend for everyone to get toxicity reports. Like, if anyone's really interested on how dirty they are, so to speak, air quotes, is like, you can get these done privately. You pee into a cup, they analyze your urine, and they'll show you like, oh, this is probably from your deodorant or your cologne or your, XYZ. It's coming out in your urine. So it's definitely, I recommend it if anyone wants to get disgusted, but also kind of to see where they fall in their diets and their topical applications and whatnot.
Well, and it's so crazy, all the things you think on a day-to-day basis what we're getting exposed to.
Oh yeah, even just in the air, and then the diets. I mean, I'm not that well versed in diet culture or diet. What how dirty our food is, that reading how overly processed. But yeah, I can only imagine those factors as well on
Mhm.
what that's contributing to.
Yeah. So what's one of your like favorite ingredients? What's something that you is
Mm.
like your go-to when you're kind of starting to formulate or different ideas? Or what was the one thing that just like clicked when you found
Hmm.
a specific ingredient?
Yeah, oh, there's a few. Um, So I'm very partial to clays. Like I love kaolin. Like a beautiful kaolin clay is so universal and its properties are incredible and it does so much. Also magnesium chloride. So like beautiful chloride that turns into magnesium oil. I love, and it's so great for your skin. And it's really well known in uh, holistic beauty and Ayurvedic beauty. Um, I'm obsessed with certain essential oils, like coriander seed essential oil is incredible. It's my favorite scent out there, and Bathorium has a very, I'd say most of our product formulations are an herbaceous, strong, earthy note, and that comes from like oils that are in that kind of camphoric family of essential oils. So I love coriander seed. I love cocoa butter. Like cocoa butter is beautiful. Aloe butter is beautiful. Yeah, I found a couple that I've hung on to, and then that you'll see woven through most of Bethorium's products. And also a good sea salt, like sodium chloride, you can get it refined at the yin yang and dirt cheap to your door. But we source all of ours from the Dead Sea, and it's all an Israeli Dead Sea salt that we import direct from producer into Canada. And the salt is so beautiful. Like it smells like the ocean. It's incredible. Like there's impurities in it that we have to like filter out. Like it's a gorgeous product, and that also just really helps make our bath products just you feel that alkalinity and you feel that salt penetrating into your skin. So that's also makes a huge difference. It's like your raw ingredients. Like if your raw isn't good, then your product's going to be subpar.
And finding those premium, like you said, like really taking the time to like research and figure out where they're actually coming from too.
Exactly. And that wasn't always the case. I mean, I talked like I've been doing that for 7 years. That's not the case. We used to order because we had no buying power at the beginning. We're only making so many products and so little quantities that we were buying everything from mass distributors or Amazon. Like we did not have um, that that buying power. So that's only within the past few years we've moved over to these incredible suppliers where we can import in by the metric ton, and we can have that buying power where it makes those products the same cost to produce. So if you're listening to this and think, oh, my products will never be like, it's like at the beginning we were using like borderline table salt to get by. Like there's no, just start. But if you can, like try to source as best as possible. But that's not always possible starting out.
Absolutely. And do you have any advice to people like starting out, like where kind of like for your journey of things you wish you could tell your younger self or as like a new entrepreneur?
Yeah, for sure. The biggest thing I always hark to any new entrepreneur is just don't compare yourself to other brands, because we were talking about this too. It's like you see a brand from their Instagram or their social, their website, you think, wow, they're amazing. I'll never be like them. They got into Oprah. They got into XYZ. Like I'll never get into that. And that is detrimental to an entrepreneur's psyche. It's detrimental to your business. And it'll just constantly leave you comparing, and you don't know what that business has been through or the entrepreneurs behind that business have gone through to get to that stage, the sacrifices, the hardships, the failures. And that's something I had to learn firsthand. Like my first few years, I would look at all my competitors and be like, oh man, I'll never get into XYZ. And it's so dangerous to go down that route because you're constantly comparing yourself. And I think you just need to be on your own journey, know your mission, and be so true to your mission. Like don't sway. And I mean, you can obviously your business will change throughout the years. That's a given. But just hold why you started, like your why of why you started your company, so close and so true, because that will get you through the days when you see your competitors skyrocket, so to speak, and you've fallen behind, so to speak. So just just go on your own path.
I
As
love that.
tacky as that sounds.
And even what you were saying about all the reasons why you do what you do, and even the where it all started, like that experience. Because like think of when we're children, like when we're babies, that bath experience, like right from then to when we're elder of that experience.
Mhm.
Everyone, like even talking about this, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to have a bath. Like it's just like such an experience thing that you do throughout your entire life, and why not make it an experience to remember?
Exactly. And this is the year of self-love. Like 2020 was a mind, like it's crazy. So I think like this is the year to develop routine, lock yourself into your bathroom, create your sanctuary. Like whatever that looks like for you. If it's 10 minutes of without your kids, like you earn that 10 minutes and make it your sanctuary. Like if you want to bring a movie in, go for it. If you want complete stillness, go for it. Candles, wine, like however you want to do, you can create your own sense of escapism within the confines of your bathroom, which is like it's an amazing gift, the gifts of bath throughout quarantine. Like without it, I would have been off the rails. And so many of our customers have wrote in being like, thank you for these products because they've like helped them through this incredibly isolating, tumultuous time. Or I'm so against saying unprecedented, but these
Mhm.
unprecedented times, like that's really what can keep you so sane, is like a sense of routine, a sense of ritual, a sense of escapism, detoxing from the news cycles. Like so Bathorium and baths in general, like this is their like 2020 and now 2021 because we're still in quarantine. It's definitely the year of the baths. So I recommend, anyone who just needs that to escape for a little bit because we can't travel, start the tub and crack the wine.
Yeah, exactly. Pretend we're in Italy, like you were saying.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, this is amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to hop on with us. And I'm so excited for people to know the story and like looking at your products on the shelf and know why you're doing what you're doing. I love it. That was amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Nicole. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Okay. Thanks, Greg.